My name's Nathan Sirikumara. I'm a filmmaker from Naarm, Melbourne, and my film is Famished. My filmmaking journey began very early. I've been a movie-loving kid since forever. And after high school, I went to film school, went to Swinburne University, where I met, some of the best people I've ever had the luck to work with, and a lot of my cohort, we still collaborate to this day. My director of photography on this film, my production design on this film, we're all in the same year level. So it's been really beautiful to sort of get to meet people who are like-minded, who have just the same amount of passion that you do, and the experience and the craft to back it up as well, which is, it's always the key to directing. You want to surround yourself by people who are much better than you, and I can confidently say I've done that in spades. In bringing it together, not just sort of cultural specificity, but also to bring in multiple collaborators who were Sri Lankan Australian, and so that was a big part of everything. So our two leads were Sri Lankan, one Sri Lankan Australian, and basically we didn't just sort of cast them and threw them into the restaurant. We did months of rehearsal. We also did improv workshops. We really got them to flesh out our two beautiful actors, Ayush Isru Mudlanayaka and Thilani Ranasinghe. We got them to improv being a couple, but also improv, more sort of nuanced conversations like, what was your first discussion about migrating to Australia like? What was your discussion about opening a restaurant like to make ends meet? So we along with the usual stuff of like, what was your first date? What was your first time you met? And so we really worked on building these characters from the ground up, so it felt authentic, even though the audience wouldn't see any of that on screen. It adds another layer, another dimension to the characters. It adds a lot of weight to everything they do, and so the hope is that it's something that you'd feel instinctively when you watch them. These are two people who've been together for years, and that was something that was really important to me. So that's just one example of how we really went in for some authenticity, for some specificity. In addition to that, I'd also say, another element, aside from the food, aside from the performances, stuff like the music was really key for me, which is really fun. We had two amazing composers on our film, Sudar and Udara De Silva, known as the De Silva brothers. They have a background in theatre and traditional Sri Lankan folk music, and so I challenged them to take what they do and to bring their sensibility over to a film score. Because when you do a film score, there are certain beats you have to hit. There are certain emotional key points that you can't miss. It needs to work for a film. And so I try to challenge them and say, I love your sound, I love what you do, but they work in community theatre, so that's really big, it's musical numbers, it's big set pieces. And so I thought, can you take the core elements of what you do, the core instruments, and can you sort of boil them down and sort of have them sort of simmering underneath, as opposed to being really big and bombastic. And so that was a lot of fun. We got to play around. I remember speaking with Udara, who was like, you really challenged me, you really made me like go into sort of elements of horror, which I hadn't ever touched on in my style. So that was one aspect of just sort of blending more traditional aspects of Sri Lankan culture and art and doing it in a more of a modern take in a film space. Yeah.
And why do you think that Sri Lankan Australian stories are great for Naarm right now?
I think Sri Lankan Australian stories are great for Naarm because the more stories that exist here, the more people will get inspired to keep on creating and keep on showcasing the parts of themselves that we don't usually get to see. Naarm is far and away the biggest populace of Sri Lankan Australians in the country. I think it's something like 49%. So it's huge. So, if it's going to start anywhere, it should probably start here. So the more stories told, the more sort of normal it will be. And the more normal it becomes, the more we can just sort of branch out and do more wild and crazy things and not have to bear the responsibility of being that one Sri Lankan Australian story. I know the stories that I tell, they're very sort of unique in the sense that they're genre stories and they have a cultural specificity to them and they're Sinhalese. that's, that shouldn't be every Sri Lankan story. There should be many others. There should be some that play to social realism. There should be some that are broad comedy. There should be some that are coming of age. There should be a lot more female filmmakers who are Sri Lankan Australian, because that's what I want to see.
So, what is your great good place?
My great good place is the Canberra Short Film Festival, which is where Famish is headed next. The festival is running from the 5th to the 16th of November, and we are screening on the 14th in the Comedy Showcase. So plan your road trips now. That's what I'm doing. Our plan is to really take the film across the country. We want to hit every state, so we're coming to a city near you. In 2026, we'll be hitting Queensland, New South Wales, and then we're coming back home because we know a lot of friends and family in Melbourne who are really keen to see it, and we want everyone to come and check out the film on the big screen. But we really care about the big screen experience, so if you can make it to a festival that's showing Famish, please do. You can follow us on @famish.film on Instagram. We have updates every week, and so you'll be the first to know when we're playing a city near you if you follow us.